Yep, it's going. Hello, lovely people. Happy Monday morning. I was so excited to jump on this live stream because I finished sewing together all of my diamond blocks. So I recounted them again last night and I have 34. I thought I had exactly enough for 32, but I have 34. Now for this quilt layout, I need 32. And so I am going to lay these out today on the floor and start arranging them. And I will have 2 left over, which is nice because I'll be able to shift some stuff to make sure I get a nice perfect rainbow. So I have readjusted my camera angle a little bit for my overhead. In previous videos, I had my overhead just showing you my cutting mat. But because these diamonds are quite big, I have a layout over on my floor where I'm going to be laying these out. So I thought I would jump on a live stream and show you the next step in the process. So you can see here with these diamonds, every diamond has the light corner and the dark corner. And so the first thing I need to do before I start putting them in the layout for the quilt is to get them in rainbow order, all based on their dark corner, because I want to arrange them on my quilt where the dark is coming outward and it's getting lighter as it goes. So it kind of looks like a big burst of color. So I'm going to move over to my floor and we are going to lay these out. I won't be able to see my comments as easily, but I will continue to explain the process of what I'm doing and check comments periodically. So oh, also, I was going to say, I did end up sewing about 15 of these off camera. I was debating whether I wanted to do that on live stream because I know I originally, when I started this quilt, said I'm going to record every single stitch in the process and show it to you guys, but I kind of felt like the repetitive sewing got a little bit boring. So I was like, okay, I'll just get the rest of these done because I did do a decent chunk of them on camera during our last live stream. So I felt like you got enough of the gist of how to make these blocks that I just went ahead and sewed the rest of them. So I have 34 blocks here to play with. And honestly, you guys, this is the most exciting part of putting the quilt together, at least in my opinion. Making all of these blocks was kind of the tedious part, but now this is where we really get to see the rainbow, the circle come together to let this rainbow fabric really shine and look really amazing. So I'm going to grab my stack of these over and we are going to jump over to the overhead camera. All right, so I have my camera hung up really high because I wanted this whole space to be visible so that when I lay out the quilt, we'll be able to see the whole quilt layout. So like I said, the first thing I need to do is get these blocks in order based on color. So what I'm doing is I am looking at the dark top diamond in the set. And when I sewed these, I sewed them in the order that they were stacked. And the order that they were stacked was also the order that they were like collated, right? So you can see my first stack here, this is showing pretty much the whole rainbow. However, I had 6 stacks because if you remember, there were 6 strip sets that we cut from. So I think that an easy way to do this is I'm going to just spread these further apart and then collate them back together so that I have one long massive rainbow that is all based on my bottom diamond color. So I just got to my new stack again. See, if I were to just keep stacking it this way, it would stay in order, but it would repeat the rainbow. And I want all of my blues and purples, like I think my purples will be the end. Okay, so if I know that this is my furthest most block in my rainbow, then that gives me some space to play with these. So let me slide this over. Okay, so now if I compare these are actually almost identical. So I'm not gonna get too super hung up on the perfection, but just trying to get the gist of each of those colors. Okay, so now this green is a little more green than that green. So instead of putting it over here, I'm gonna put it over here. And I'm gonna try to stack them so that they stack from top to bottom. Okay, so here's another. That one does look a little bit more yellow. Now, if it's like exact the same, then another thing that you can do is go to your next color and say, okay, well, is this more yellow or is it more blue? And whereas like, so those look almost identical as well, but these ones, this blue looks a little bit lighter than that one, like it looks a little more green. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on top. Okay. And the cool thing about this too is that there is not like a perfect rhyme to this. We're just trying to get an approximation of these lined up so that when we go to lay out our circle, we have one solid rainbow to kind of work from. So this orange is definitely orange. That's yellow, that's pink. So that one would go there. Okay, now I have another pink that feels pretty much identical to that block. Okay, and then I have a blue. So this blue definitely looks more purple. It almost looks similar to that one. So I am going to put it underneath here. Okay, and then I've got a turquoise here. So I would say that goes there. So after we lay these into a rainbow, we are going to lay them into the circle. So again, this is just kind of helping me organize my thoughts on the layout of the colors. Okay, so this is another good example. So these two here are very similar color and those are pretty similar, but this blue, do you see that difference where this is much more green? And then even here, this is a little bit darker. So I'm gonna put that here. So it's almost like each dark color can be a tiebreaker to get them in order. So if you're feeling like really rainbow anal retentive, like I know that I am, then this is a good way to figure that out, okay? So this is definitely more orange, so that would automatically go there. But is it also more green? So yes. So we're really being more fine-tuned in our layout. And again, like I said, we're gonna recollate these again somewhere else into our star diamond pattern. But before that, I like to just get them into their order, because then I kind of just have the best idea of knowing what I'm working with. Okay, so maybe we'll do purple over on the other end. Well, actually, I'm going to leave that since the majority of it is warm colors. Okay, but we definitely have blue here. Those ones look basically identical as well. Okay, let me check the comments really quick. Okay, we're good. When I pressed all of these diamonds, I was very generous with a pretty heavy type of starch. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I feel like these are really crisp and laying so nice and flat. And I really like that. Okay, and then I also remember that I have 2 diamond blocks that will be spare. And I'm almost kind of thinking that this one might be one that I don't use, because these colors look closer together than I think I should have put together. So that's just something that's in the back of my mind as I'm laying these out, is this kind of looks like a solid piece in terms of color, and I don't love that. And I feel like if I see it in the quilt, it's going to stand out to me and bother me. So we will still see how many pieces we have that we can put together, but I could maybe see myself not using that one. Okay, a couple more. Okay, so another thing that I'm thinking about as I'm starting to put these back together is that my star is going to have 8 points that come right to the middle. And so what I want is for each of those points to read as the colors of the rainbow. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. That's 7. And I need 8. So I could do like red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, purple, pink. That's probably what I'll do. And I have a lot in that area to work with. These actually kind of are starting to feel a little more yellow. Okay, so let me get this one put in. It's kind of red. I think that could go right here. Okay. Okay, any questions so far? Hi, Jerry. It's good to see you. Hi, Lana. Hello, Lenore. Okay. All right. So we have our full rainbow here. I'm very happy with it. Okay. So now let's count and make sure that we have how many I think we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Perfect. Okay. So we have 2 extra. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this one out because like I said, I don't love that. And so if I can avoid that, I will. Then I'm also going to look in this area, and I have a lot of what feels like a lot of green and turquoise. So I think I could spare one of those. So now I'm just looking to see like which one is the most duplicative, like which one do I have duplicates of? And I would say maybe one of these 3, like maybe this one I could also remove. And my points on this one are not perfect. So, okay, so I'm going to save these for later. And honestly, this would be a pretty cool piece to incorporate into the backing somehow. So it's kind of actually convenient that I was able to spare 2 extra that are rainbow. Okay, so now I'm going to have 8 diamonds that each use 4 of these pieces. So before I start laying them out in a circle, another thing I can do is pick out what are my 8 pieces that when they come to my point together in the middle of my star are going to read as a most cohesive rainbow at that point. So I definitely need a purple. So we'll do purple, pink, red, okay, and then orange. This one almost looks a little darker than those. Let's do this orange. Okay, and then yellow. Green. I have a lot of green here. Let's maybe do this green. This reads very nicely as a strong green. Okay, and then a turquoise. Red, or let's see, purple, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue. Okay, so 2 more. So let's do this nice strong turquoise and a good solid strong blue. Let's do this one. Okay, so now the next thing that I need to do, actually, okay, let's start with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull these out. So these are gonna be my main stars. So I'm gonna lay those purple, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, and blue. Okay, so that's going to be my very center star. I know that now. So I'm going to pull these and move them to the side. And keep those safely over there. Okay, now the rest of these, I'm just going to stack them up now. I know that they're in order. So I'm going to be able to lay these out. So the next thing that I really like to do whenever I'm laying out the blocks of a quilt, that it's like the next step is actually assembling the quilt top all together, is I like to cut my batting because I don't have a design wall in my studio. And so I just crawl around on the floor to lay out these blocks. And then if I do it on my batting, if I have to stop mid-project, I can just fold my batting up with my pieces inside, and they usually stay pretty well organized. Okay, so now these are all going to be my secondary, more outer blocks. I'm going to set these aside. Just stick them up on the table here. Okay, and then let me grab my batting scissors. You're okay. What's up? Okay. Okay, so now for this quilt, I'm going to be using warm and plush batting. So I am going to cut myself a piece that's nice and big. I don't know exactly how big this quilt is going to be, but I want to make sure that I can make it bed-sized and at least a square. So if I wanted a square piece of fabric, then what I would do is fold this like this, and then fold this corner like this, and then this corner like this. And now I know that if I cut along this line right here, then that means I will have a square piece of batting. Oh, you can't really see that super well, but right there. So this line. So I'm going to give myself just a little extra, just in case I want to make the quilt bigger than, how wide is this? 90 inches. So if I cut the batting right on that line, it's going to be a 90-inch square. I'm going to give myself a little extra. I think I want to go 100, just so that if I want to add more fabric to the top and bottom to make the quilt bigger, I can. I don't know. I don't even know what my plan is, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'll roll up that extra. And now we're going to lay this out. Oh my gosh, did you hear my knees pop? My knees sound like Velcro. Okay, so now we have our first 8 pieces here. All right, so before I like solidify these, I wanted to show you the two different kind of layout options when you're doing these because they go dark to light. So my original plan was to do dark to light, which means all of my blocks, dark sides, are going to be flowing outward. Okay, so this is where I have my blue, turquoise, green, yellow, orange. So this is probably the most important part for me when laying out these blocks, is making sure that these very inside diamonds read really nicely as a rainbow with all 8 colors, like so. Isn't that so beautiful? I really, really love it. Okay, so one thing I was going to say is that with this dark medium to light, you don't have to do dark to light. You could also do light to dark. So if I were to switch these around, it's not going to read as a perfect rainbow because when I pulled these specific blocks, I did it based on my dark color. But I'm going to flip them around just so you can see kind of the difference of the feeling that comes with doing light to dark versus dark to light. So I just wanted to flip these to show you that contrast and how this ombre fabric can read differently based on if you do all of your darks on the outside of the block versus the inside of the block. Okay, so now see that difference? So it kind of has like a light radiating outwards, whereas when the dark is what's here, it's almost like sucking in. It's kind of sucking in that light for those darker colors. So just something to think about and consider when you're making this quilt, whether you want to go light to dark or dark to light. So I knew that I was going to go dark to light, and so that's why I pulled what I consider to be a really good cohesive rainbow that starts all the way into the center of my blocks. Like so. Okay. And I'm really, really happy with that. I feel like it's a really nice, cohesive rainbow. I feel like it has a pretty good representation of every color. Hi, Kathy. It's good to see you. All right, so now I have the exact right amount to have not only this set of 8, but to do 3 more rows of diamonds for this quilt. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to take the rest of my blocks and start laying them out in the spots that make sense. So for instance, I have a purple point here. So I think that it would be good here. Okay. And then I have a pink point, so I could probably do that one here. And another pink point could go here. Oh my gosh, you guys, I might be right to the edge of my batting. Wow. I was not anticipating these blocks to be this big when doing the full set of 4 blocks per each one. So that's interesting. Okay, so I'm kind of running out of pink ones. So I think I'm actually going to switch this and do pink there and red here, because the red is closer to the red side. In fact, I wonder if this feels a little bit more orange than that one. No, I guess that's the same amount. Okay, so now let's do, so now we have 1 full block. So this was what I anticipated. Okay, so now we have another red here. Those are really close together. But I am starting to kind of run out. Like I'm putting orange ones on my red block, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Honestly, it's okay. Because again, what I care about most is this rainbow right in the center. And I'm really happy with how that comes together. All the other colors are going to radiate outwards from that. Okay. So we've got a lot of yellow and green. So that's where we're going to start catching up in our rainbow. So see how I've got on my orange block 2 yellows and then even into a green block out here. But it's okay. And I have the exact right amount of these blocks. And so I kind of don't have a ton of choice on shifting things around because I already put these in rainbow order when they were in the row. So really right now, the most important thing is to at least get them laid out and then see if there's any like glaring red flags that I'm like, that really just does not work there, and see if I have to shift things around. But so far I am pretty happy with this, at least objectively looking at it from just here. Let's see, let's do that one. Okay, a few more. And there really may not be a ton of shifting and changing that has to happen with these blocks. Okay. Whew. Oh my gosh. Okay, I am obsessed with this. Can you see the whole thing? I was not expecting for the blocks to be more than 90 inches wide, to be honest. Like I've got them coming off the edge up there and down here. So yeah. But when I look at it on my screen from far away and from the overhead, I really am happy with how it looks. I think it's really pretty. So my next step in this process is to take each of these sets of 4 and sew them together and make them their own blocks. Now, I have not even decided or figured out or even thought about what I'm going to be putting out here in these areas, because I also need to measure the finished blocks before I cut that fabric. I was thinking that maybe like a black satin would be really cool, satin. I feel like my Utah accent really comes out when I say satin. But yeah, so it feels like a pretty equal rainbow, which I'm happy about. But the other thing too is I don't know that I'll be able to pick a color for the background because I want all of the colors to shine equally. And so I was thinking a black satin would be really cool. Let me show you guys. I made a Lone Star style quilt. I'm trying to remember exactly where that quilt is. Oh, here it is. Okay, let me come and grab it. Hang on. It's in a big stack of quilts over here. So I made a quilt from a Lone Star pattern by Karlee Quiltery called Cosmic Feathers. And I used this pixelated version of this fabric. And the background fabric that I used is like a silver. Okay, and this quilt is huge, y'all. I made it very big, so I'm not gonna open the whole thing. Oh, dang it. Okay, but so you can see the quilting on this really gorgeous silver stuff. And I wanted to choose something that would not detract from the color of the diamonds. So that's kind of the same idea that I have in mind with this quilt is whatever I choose, whether it's a silver or a black or maybe a white satin could be kind of pretty. I want it to be something that is not going to pull color from the rainbow. Like it needs to be a colorless shade, if that makes sense, so that the stars can be the main thing that really shines. Okay. Oh my gosh. So now I just want to keep on staring at it. So like I said, my next goal is to piece each of these sets of 4 diamonds together. And I'm also very pleased with how flat they are laying right here and how they look like they're lining up, which is really nice. I had started a different quilt with the same technique, but then between piecing each of the blocks and laying them out, I thought I needed to square them up, but then I squared them up wrong. And so when I went to lay them out, they didn't fit together. And so that was pretty devastating for me. So I just put that quilt away and stopped working on it. But this one, I feel like I'm still very much on track and very happy with. So yeah. So I've got my next steps cut out for me. And what I do when I piece at this stage is I don't try to stack things up. I literally will just take 2 pieces and fold them over right here, pinch the seams, go to my sewing machine and sew them, and then bring them back and lay them out, just so that I don't accidentally end up swapping 2 pieces. I want this to stay exactly as it is. Another good idea is to take a picture so that I have a good record for what it should look like. So, okay, so now one thing I'm just looking at right here is each of these darks that are coming together on the next row. I feel like they are decently different color, except for this one. This is kind of bugging me a little bit. So I want to do that. There we go. And actually this feels a little bit more red. Oh, never mind, they're the same. It's so weird. It's so weird how that works. So what if I do this and this and this? They just still feel very close together in color, whereas the rest of them are more obviously different color. Maybe I just need to be okay with it. Okay, let me go back to my main camera. All right, so I have my work cut out for me. Oh, let's check some comments. I like the dark. Yes, me too. Heather said, I love this so much because it looks like rainbow 90s grunge. uh, so I'm officially requesting a denim background. I did not even consider denim. Interesting. What if I did like a black grunge denim fabric? Huh. Okay, maybe I'll have to put out a poll. I need to pull some fabrics out of my stash and lay them next to it. And then maybe I'll put out a poll in the next live stream to decide what direction we could go. Or maybe just throw the poll on Instagram. So now I'm officially requesting a denim background. I love the silver. Jackie says, I love the silver. Cynthia says, I love watching this come together. It looks awesome. Heather said, thank you for your consideration. I'll fully accept black denim. Oh, okay. So here's another thing that I wanted to talk about with this live stream, or with these live streams in general, and with this quilt in general. As I've been working on this quilt, my husband was like, what are you going to do with the quilt when it's done? And I have a couple different ideas in mind. Now, you guys know that I have been on my like YouTube monetization journey. So far I have made $10. Well, like $9.50 after they take their cut from super chats. But part of me was thinking that maybe I would put together like a downloadable PDF of how to make this quilt, including some quilting diagrams. Because honestly, it's like this is all just prep work so far to get to the fun part, which is quilting. Like I like piecing, don't get me wrong, and I'm very happy with this quilt, and I'm very happy with the practice that it's given me. But like, I'm just itching to quilt it. I just want to be at my quilting machine, not piecing all day and ironing. I want to quilt. So I was thinking I would put together a few different quilting diagrams on different ways that you can quilt this quilt. And so those diagrams, what I would do is I would sell that downloadable PDF, but whoever buys that download, it'd probably be like $10. I don't know, like between 10 and 15, not any more than that. I'd sell that downloadable PDF. However, everyone who purchases that PDF and downloads it, which is basically like the how-to guide. I don't know, I guess you could call it a pattern, but it's more of just like, do this and then do this and then do this versus like, I don't know. Like I know there's like a cajillion Lone Star patterns. So that's why I'm hesitant to call it a Lone Star pattern that I'm selling, because really it's going to be more like, okay, here's the fabric I used, here's the way I cut it, here's a link to this video to see how to do this part, and that's all for free already on YouTube. But then anyone who buys that PDF downloadable pattern, then I just call it a pattern, will be entered into a drawing to win the finished quilt. And that would be how I would like do a more substantial way of monetizing the live streams that I've been doing, is by actually giving the quilt away when it's done. And the way I would choose who it's given to are people who purchase. I'm not allowed a non-raffle ticket. It's not a raffle ticket. It's just you're purchasing a pattern and then I enter you into a drawing to win a quilt. So everybody gets something when they purchase, they get the pattern. But then those are the people whose names I would draw and give the quilt away to one of those people. So I'm still kind of figuring all of that out. Right now, I just want to make it through piecing this quilt so that I can actually quilt it. Because again, like I said, that's the funnest part for me. So anyways, yeah, so let me show you this again. I've got my quilt laid out. I love it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I like the rainbow variation. I think I have some notes for myself on how I could adjust the rainbow even a little bit more when I get when I design the fabric. I am very happy with this, but it would be cool to do other ombre like color shades and variations. But yeah, so I am not going to piece each of these blocks on camera because again, I feel like that's kind of the boring part and probably no one wants to sit there and watch me piece these. But when I get these put together, we can talk about what background fabric to use. So yeah. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with me today. Like I also said in previous live streams, I'm going to plan for more consistent live stream scheduling so that people can watch, you know, because they know that it's coming. But thank you so much to those of you who have just jumped on and watched while I'm doing this. Bless you. My son is with me. And yeah, we're going to keep going on this quilting journey. If you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. That always helps. If you want to support the channel, then feel free to send a super chat, which is basically just like a digital tip jar. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Now I have that laid out, and now it's just going to be calling my name, but I have other household duties to take care of. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. And until then, happy quilting, and I'll see you all later.